If you're in a place where it is safe and appropriate for you, please close your eyes and begin to take some nice, long, slow, deep, relaxing breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every inhale, feel more light and peace entering the body and mind. And with each exhale, feel like you're able to let go of all tension, along with anything in your body and your mind that you do not want. Inhaling light and exhaling as you let go completely. We picture ourselves on top of a beautiful mountain in the center of a circular grove of trees. In the center of our circle, a bonfire blazes forth, lighting us and the grove with a sacred golden light. We recognize that this is the sacred light of perfect love and perfect trust, and it easily and gently burns away everything unlike itself, leaving us safe and serene. Into this sacred space, we also invoke the presence of our teachers, our angels, our guides. We ask that they guide us as we walk upon the way, becoming happier, more peaceful, and more loving people. Blessed be. My perspective of the New Testament is purely Luciferian, not Christian. And the only part of the New Testament that is of interest to me is that which holds Luciferian Gnosis. And that's why I prefer the Gospel of Q to anything in the authorized New Testament. We're going to take one little section from Matthew 18 and look at it from an occult perspective. Let me just read this little section and then we'll go through it. At the same time came the disciple unto Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And Jesus called a little child unto him, and sat him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted, and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. That's a lot of occult wisdom there. At the same time came the disciples to Jesus, saying, Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? This character has already told you where the kingdom of heaven is. It's inside you. It's inside you. And Jesus called the little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, saying, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. The thing that's keeping you away from heaven, which is in you, you don't have an ego, but you're still a unique soul. That part of you is in you, and you're asleep having a horrible dream. Even if you have a so-called good life, it's not that good here, not compared to what heaven is. But heaven is not up in the sky. Heaven is not a place. Heaven is your home that exists within you. So it says, how do you get into that knowledge? How do you get into the consciousness of that realm within you where everything is permanently perfect and you don't have trouble and you don't have problems and you are at peace and everything is lovely the way it was meant to be? Where does that exist? How do you get there? To become as a little child. Whoever shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So humbling yourself as a little child, it's telling you what to do with the ego mind. Not humiliate the ego, not kill the ego, not go warring against the ego, but to humble it, to relax it, to not believe it, to not be under its spell. The ego likes to hypnotize us into thinking things are a certain way and that there's no escape from this reality except becoming like a little child, according to this gnosis here. What is a little child? What does a little child do? Mommy, what is that? Why? Why? That's a little child. Innocent, questioning, I don't know anything, I want to learn everything. That's how you get into the kingdom of heaven. And where is the kingdom of heaven? It's in you. It's your home. It's where you already are, but you're sleeping. So how do you wake up? By not believing you know anything, by being a little child. So you ask the goddess, Mommy, what's that for? You ask the god, Daddy, what's that? It's that innocent. What's this? What's that? Why? And you do that rather than this is what that is. And this is what that is. And I already know and I don't need to be told. That's how you close off to the kingdom of heaven that is within you. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receiveth me. Well, who's me? It's the risen Lucifer within you who has already saved you. Somebody was talking the other day about Lucifer, and they felt like it was some sort of blasphemy to believe that Lucifer could be forgiven for falling. And I thought to myself, isn't that interesting? How what we are taught in this world, that God's a loving God, but the brightest star in heaven, the most beautiful angel in heaven made a mistake, and God's going to not forgive? That's not what a parent does. You fall, you get back up again. That's a little kid. A little kid falls all the time. When you fall as a little kid, does a well-adjusted, good parent scold you for falling down when you're trying to learn how to walk? Of course not. The same is true for all of this. That's the whole gnosis here. As a little kid, of course you fall and you get picked back up again. It's not like you sinned when you fell. Becoming like a little child is recognizing that little children are taken care of by their parents. Little children are loved unconditionally. Little children are taught. So what you have to do to be born again, it's saying here, meaning to be awakened, to awaken to the truth about where you really live, which is what this character calls heaven. You wake up to where you've always been asleep and realize that world outside of you, just like when Dorothy woke up in The Wizard of Oz, she realized Oz was something that I was dreaming. And the horrible world that I thought I lived in before I went to Oz, and then I needed to escape from Oz, isn't there anymore, because now I am awake to the truth about myself. That's what heaven is. You wake up to the truth about yourself within you that's always been the truth. And how do you do that? By being taught like a little child. Mommy, what's that? Daddy, what's that? And that's what God is, Mommy and Daddy. It can't be that infinite intelligence needs you to understand the most complex secrets and occult formulas in order to awaken. That's not a loving parent. And we're not saying that you can't do those things and that those things don't have their place. Of course they do. But when we're talking about waking up to who you are, into that realm where all is well, you got to be a little child. You don't have to be an expert. You can't be an expert. The more of an expert you are, the more you're asleep to the real world, according to this passage. It's Mommy, what's that? Daddy, what's that? That's how little children are. And that's how you've got to be. And you've got to find that relationship with Mommy and Daddy. Many of us were not raised with a perfect Mommy and Daddy. But in heaven, there is a perfect Mommy and Daddy. And it says, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. It's talking about your ego. It's not talking about people. When it says, whoso shall offend one of these little children, those are your thoughts. Those are your thoughts about, I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. I'll never make it. I got to work really hard. I got to know everything. I got to figure this out. Whatever your stories are, those are the ones that offend the little child within you. Obviously, it'd be better for them to be drowned in the sea. Those ideas that are at odds with who you are as an innocent child are on their way out. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name. The name means the quality or the essence or the nature of something. What's the nature of this being talking? The nature of this being talking is the risen Lucifer. Who is that? It's that part of you. It's that part of you that fragmented and now is coming back home again, awakening again, is now rising again. So if you believe there was some external Jesus in history, you are missing the point. It's definitely not what we're doing here. You've got to take this personally, or it's got no value to you. Whether it's a New Testament passage, an Old Testament passage, a fairy tale, a myth, they're all myths. If you don't take it personally and understand how it is speaking to you and how the characters within a story are all parts of you, then you're off the mark. We want to recognize that this Jesus character represents a principle within you of that which fell and that which is rising. It's saying to do that in the name of that which is rising, you have to become like a little child. It's the only way to make your mind like an empty rice bowl, as they say in Zen, to have the beginner's mind. If you have your life as beginner's luck all the time, then you know that you've become a little child and that you're living in heaven. Everything works out for you because it's all beginner's luck. That's the Fool card in the tarot. That little dog that's hanging on to the pants of the person, that's mommy and daddy holding on to you by the scruff of your neck, saying you're being watched, you're cared for, you're looked after. Mommy and daddy, God and goddess. But if it's not mommy and daddy, it's not like a little child. If it's all this real formal, hail to thee, goddess, that's not mommy and daddy. You would never get up in the morning in a really, truly loving family and say, hail to thee, goddess of all. You wouldn't do that. If you're not having an interaction with your own creator as a little child, then you don't know them. And then that's why you're not in heaven. That's why you can't get into heaven, is because that ego mind is trying to lock you out of heaven, trying to lock you out of that by telling you, no, you got to be an adult. You got to know things. You got to know how to do things, and you've got to judge things, and you've got to know what things mean, and you better not make a mistake. That's not heaven. In heaven, if you make a mistake, it's all fixed immediately. Heaven is where everything is permanently perfect. If you don't know something, you're taught. If you need something, it's given to you. If you ask for something, you get it. If it's not good for you, you're shown why. And then you realize you didn't want that thing because you have a loving mommy and daddy, and you're just like a little kid, and you realize you don't know why everything is. Sometimes when you're a little kid, it's like, man, no, I want it. And when you do that, what do perfect parents do? They say it's okay. That's the kingdom of heaven, where all is well and everything is taken care of for you because you're like a little kid and you don't know any better. You don't know any differently. It's a beautiful little understanding of what heaven is, where it is, how to access it, why you haven't been accessing it, what to do about that, who you really are, why you're really here, why you're experiencing the things you're experiencing, and how you can change that. That Jesus character is you. The little child is you. Heaven is you. The kingdom of heaven, where you are in that place where all is well, is really where you live. And that's what that risen Lucifer is all about. Recognizing that in time, things look like they were bad and then they get better. But in eternity, it all happens at once. It wasn't that Lucifer fell, went to hell, got punished, and now is being forgiven. That's within a storyline, maybe. But in reality, what happened was Lucifer, like you, was a little kid, fell down, mommy and daddy picked him up, and all is well. Everything is good. Heaven isn't a place for adults. Heaven is a place for children. And you're a child, and you want to be a child, and you're a holy child, and you're a beloved child. It's always important to remember that God is pleased with you. And you can't do anything to change God's mind. Mommy and Daddy love you the way you are because that's how they created you. They adore you. And there's nothing you can do to change that. And anything that seems unlike that is some adult illusion, an adult nightmare that you're having. But there are no adults in heaven except for Mommy and Daddy. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I so appreciate you. Until next time, blessed be.